to the hook to the head. That's going to be with my left, southpaw with your right. So to start the hook, you really have to have your weight more on the front leg. So you can do that in a variety of ways. Maybe you're slipping to get your weight over there. Maybe you've just thrown a right hand, whether it's across, across to the head or to the body. Whatever you're doing to set up that hook to the head, generally you're going to have good success if you get your weight over to that front leg. So if I'm here, the hook can be tricky. I'm going to stamp that back heel down to the ground as my punch is coming out. So in real time, it's more like that. That would be me lining up, a hook, and then I return to the front. But really, the end of the hook is when you're here on that back foot. This is what's making contact. So you'll see a lot of people throw the hook like this. Really textbook is with the palm side facing down. And again, that's allowing these first two knuckles, as I keep saying, to make that primary impact. So again, I'm just going to start with my weight in the front just because I think it's a little bit more accessible that way. My arm is going to make this L shape. It's really a 90-degree bend at the elbow. And it's going to be at shoulder height, possibly a little higher depending on your opponent's height. You're aiming for their chin, really. So we're going to bring it across. Now what we really want to avoid is opening it out. We don't want to cock the hand back and wind up the punch. That's actually going to create a few problems. It's going to telegraph what you're about to do to your opponent, meaning that they're going to be able to see it coming and prepare for that. And they'll be able to make you miss, make you pay. So we don't want to telegraph, but also it can throw off the trajectory of your punch, and it can really actually take away power from your punch. So we really don't want to open it up. That's not going to give you more power. It's actually shorter is going to be a much better punch, more tight. So keep it in here. I have now shifted again. My weight started 70% on the front leg, 30% on the back. I'm going to pretty much reverse that. My hip and knee turn, and my heel pops up in the front. On the back leg, my heel drops down. You sit on that punch. You should feel your glutes engage here, this thigh working hard as you throw that. And again, it should be coming right up here. Again, depending on your opponent's height, probably around mouth to nose area, somewhere in there. So I'm going to show it from the side, and I'm going to show it after a right hand. So I'm going to come forward with this right, and I'm going to sit here. And again, we don't want to, we're twisting the bottom half of the body, but we don't want to twist the head. Because if you see that from the front, if I take my head with it, I can't see what I'm doing. I'm looking out of one eye, which is not great. You want to see your opponent and what they're trying to come back at you with, what they're going to do next. But also it makes you very vulnerable to being hit yourself because you're really opening this up. Whereas if I keep two eyes forward, chin down over to that left shoulder, I am much more protected. It's a smaller hole for my opponent to try to get into. And again, I can see what they're doing with both my eyes, which is definitely a bonus. So that is a hook to the head. Now we have a hook to the body, and I'm going to show that on my left as well. And this is a great punch. This is another one of those really debilitating punches. Body punches break your opponent down, and generally you can do some damage with those. Again, like I said with the jabs, I'd rather take head punches, several in a row, rather than one really good, well-placed body shot. Accuracy really makes a difference here in terms of how much damage you'll do, but it's all good stuff. So with the hook to the body, this can be another tricky one to learn. The one I'm going to show is the liver shot. So we want to place that on your opponent. It's going to go in that little soft spot between the top of their hip and the bottom of their lowest rib. So you're going for this little sweet spot. And it's called a hook, but it's kind of a cross between an uppercut and a hook in terms of the shape of the punch. So I'll show it from the front first. Again, it's a left hand shot for me as an orthodox boxer. So I'm gonna want my weight to be on that front leg, which for me is the left, in order to throw it. And you can do that with a few different punches, or just simply slip in and get there. But you do need to be in closer proximity to your opponent. It's an inside punch. So we can't throw it from really far away. It's not gonna reach. So you wanna be in close to your opponent, and I'm starting with my weight on my front leg. The shape of the punch, as I said, is a cross between an uppercut and a hook. So it's really coming out. My palm is sort of facing up, but my elbow is bent like a hook. So that same sort of leg positioning is going to apply here. That back heel is going to stamp down. The front hip and knee are going to turn, and my front heel is going to come up. It can be helpful to get a little bit longer and lower. So I like to do that with often throwing across, a right cross first, and I can step in on that cross to get a little bit closer to make sure I'm, in the right proximity to my opponent to be able to land this body hook. And then as, in this particular combination with the cross and then the hook, as I bring this cross back, I'm gonna throw the hook. And I'm a little bit longer in my stance than I would be normally, but it can be helpful to get your hips low so you can really crank that punch in, be safe, and get some good power on it. It's not to say you always need to throw across before that hook to the body, but it can be really effective. So I'll show it from the side as well. If I'm just getting in, boom. If I'm doing that right hand before it, step, boom. And you always want to get that other hand nice and tight in your guard, put it back in the holster. And that's going to keep you protected as well. So that is the hook to the body on the left side. Now, I didn't really talk about this when I showed you the straight body punch. You can also turn that into sort of a looping punch, a hook on that side. So for me, that's my right. You can kind of make it similar to the 5 by stepping in and making it loop around to the side. And again, you're going to do that same sort of positioning of a cross between an uppercut and a hook. So that elbow's nice and bent, but the palm is more facing up. So that's an option as well if you want to throw a body hook on the other side.